Dr. Carney, a friend of mine, did ask me to talk about microgreens. So I put together a very small and brief presentation just to go over the very basics of microgreens and the importance of incorporating them into your diet. So, because I really do believe that they're a keystone habit to well-being. So, can anybody quote me Genesis 1:29 without actually looking in the Torah? I mean, the Bible. Nobody? So God said, behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that has, on the surface of the earth, that has seed in it, and every tree which has fruit with seed in it, and it shall be to you food. The medicinal use of sprouts and microgreens goes back thousands of years, and it was given to us by Hashem on day 3 of creation. But the history shows that the documented use is as early as the 1200s is when it actually, it probably was used way before then, but the documented use of it actually started in the 1200s. And 18th century sailors actually just would grow sprouts on their ships as a source of food and medicine. But microgreens themselves didn't become popular until 1990. And then they've stayed popular since then. And the first documented use of the word microgreen was actually not until 1998. Can we do something about this feedback? Yeah.
Keep talking so they can tune it.
Is that better? Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Probably some of that mic over there.
You need to turn this off.
Okay, that's good, it's off.
It's off?
Is that better? Okay, because that was driving me nuts. Can you guys hear me in the back?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. I want to talk real quick about the difference between sprouts and microgreens. A lot of people think, oh, you're going to talk about sprouts and sprouting. And sprouting is wonderful in and of itself, but it's not microgreens. Sprouts, microgreens, and baby greens are all different stages of a plant's development. Each one has their own characteristics, their own nutritional value. Sprouts are basically just the little tiny seed with its little baby root that's coming out of it. And sometimes you will see, like on these green leafy, the ones with alfalfa, you will sometimes see the tiny little forming of an immature leaf. And that's what you're eating. You're actually eating the seed and the little seed stem. They are always grown in water. They are never actually, touch soil. So this is what sprouting is. You get a mason jar, you fill up the bottom of it with whatever seed that you're wanting to sprout. You put a little mesh top on it, you fill it up with water, you let it sit overnight. And the next morning you just drain the water off without taking the top off. You fill it up with water again, you swirl it around, and you keep them tipped upside down, something like this. And you drain them twice a day, and in about 3 days you have sprouts. They grow very fast because of the moisture content inside of the jar itself. Now, I think sprouts are wonderful. I don't particularly care for them because I don't like the crunchy taste of it. I like to let them go to the next phase, which is microgreens. The tiny but mighty microgreen, which is what we're going to talk about today. Microgreens are not processed in water. They are actually planted. And I think that it's actually much more cost effective to grow microgreens because you don't have to use an excessive amount of seeds to get a much higher yield. When you're sprouting, you have to sort of fill a mason jar up a good amount of seeds. And they're all crowded in there, vying for space. Whereas microgreens, you're spreading them over a dirt medium, giving each individual seed the opportunity to grow straight up. So only after the first leaf comes out and is fully expanded do you have microgreens ready for harvest. So these are microgreens. So unlike sprouts where you actually eat the actual root tendril, here what you would do is you would just cut it off at the base, leaving the dirt and the root behind, and you just eat the stem and the first baby green. Now if you allow this to grow, then it would enter the third phase of a plant's life, and those are considered baby greens. These are what are considered true leaves as far as gardeners are concerned. And this is when you can see the characteristics of what you're growing. Oh, hey, look, you're growing radishes. Or, oh, hey, look, you're growing romaine lettuce. You can basically start to tell what it is that you're growing. If left to maturity, you obviously get a vegetable. Now, certain sprouts are hardier than others. Like, for example, mung bean sprouts, soybean sprouts are very commonly put in stir fries because they can withstand a little bit of heat. Microgreens are very tender. Those would not stand heat at all, which is why you usually see them on salads, in wraps, spring rolls, sandwiches, stuff like that. And then, of course, everybody knows what spring mix is because baby greens are usually served in salad form at restaurants and stuff. But these are microgreens. Now, I don't know from heart, but it makes me happy looking at this. I don't know, it does something to the alpha waves in my brain. I just love looking at that. All of those are actually at the stage ready for harvesting. When you can actually see the stem and all the little leaves are in a semi-mature state. So, microgreens are often referred to as superfoods. They're an extremely high source of enzymes. If anybody wants to know what an enzyme is or what the importance of an enzyme is in your body, I would refer you to Dr. Carter after this talk. Microgreens can contain up to 35% protein. They are a symphony of nutrients that your body needs. These are just to name a few. They contain more nutritional properties that are found in their mature counterparts, sometimes up to 100% more. So, for example, radish microgreens have 29% more vitamin C than a fully mature pineapple. Now, I like fully mature pineapples, so I'm not saying to give up one to eat the other. I think that this should be an addendum to what you normally eat because the mature plant in of itself has some wonderful benefits that you don't get necessarily in microgreens. Microgreens have about 51% more riboflavin than their mature counterpart. 1 cup of broccoli contains 28 micrograms of vitamin E compared to the 1.5 micrograms found in the mature broccoli plant. Now, again, don't give up eating the broccoli plant for eating the microgreens because broccoli plants have one thing that broccoli microgreens do not. Can anyone tell me what that would be? Fiber. Fiber is your friend. Fiber satiates you. Fiber makes you feel full, and fiber has a wonderful ability as it's going through your body on its way out to just absorb toxins, extra hormones that aren't supposed to be there, cholesterol. It's incredibly important to eat fiber. But if you have, let's say, a child who doesn't particularly, or an adult who doesn't particularly like broccoli but wants the benefits of broccoli, you can eat a fraction of the amount of broccoli in a microgreen over the course, over the spread over salads. You're not really tasting it. You're getting just as much, if not more, benefit than if you ate a pound of the mature plant itself. So, again, eat the mature plant for the sake of the fiber, but if you're looking for health benefits with a picky eater, broccoli microgreens would be the way to go. Soy, pea, and lentils are 28% protein, which is twice the amount found in an egg. So next time, and I'm sure all of us in this room have experienced this, but where do you get your protein? You can say, in my greens. Microgreens are incredibly alkalizing to the body because the enzymes help every system in your body work more efficiently. They're extremely high in fiber, they're nutrient dense, and they're incredibly low in calories. So anybody out here is a fan of Chef AJ and how she always talks about eating the left of the red line? This is about as far left as you could possibly get. So feel free to eat your microgreens at libitum. Eat as many as you want.
What's the red line?
At libitum?
What's the red line?
Oh, Chef AJ has a line that goes like this. It's a red line and then there's another red line. So everything over here is nutrient dense and low in calories. Everything that's on right of the red line is calorie dense and nutrient void. So she really believes in eating copious amounts of food that are low in calories but nutrient dense. They're incredibly easily digested. So people out there who have Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or the elusive leaky gut syndrome, or irritable bowel syndrome, they're very, very easy on the tummy. They do a wonderful job at regulating your bowel movements, and everybody here knows the importance of pooping. It's important to poop people at least once a day, and this helps a lot. Studies have also shown that they help women with PMS and fibrocystic tumors and hot flashes. As a woman who's pushing 48, excuse me, I wish I was 48. I wish I was 48.
Oh, you look 48, honey.
I look 48. I'm pushing 54. It helps a lot. I mean, I can tell you I do not suffer from hot flashes the way that my meat-eating friends suffer from hot flashes. Microgreens have been shown to prevent DNA destruction because of their antioxidant levels. They have been shown to increase bone density, repair joint tissue, prevent osteoporosis, and you don't have to eat copious amounts of it. I mean, just a little bit here and there will get you the benefits that you would otherwise be privy to. Now, everyone's heard the term kale is king, and I still believe kale is king, but when it comes to microgreens, broccoli takes the crown. Broccoli has been medically proven to inhibit cancer cells from proliferating, medically proven to lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, and lower blood sugar levels. Now, I put a little asterisk there because you cannot sit down to a bowl of broccoli, microgreens, and then get up and chase it with a Coke and eat a bag of chips. It doesn't work that way. Oh, that it would, but it doesn't work that way. So that is just very much the tippy top of the iceberg as far as the nutritional benefits of microgreens. I want to get into talking about how to grow them. If you have any more questions regarding a personal medical condition that you may have and incorporating microgreens because of a specific vitamin that you might be missing, I would defer you to Dr. Carney, who is poised and ready to answer any of your questions. Growing microgreens in your home gives you a slice of nutritional independence, and you can grow them year-round. You do not have to worry about it being in season. You know, I can only grow lettuce in the winter. I can only grow tomatoes in the summer, or whatever. It's controlled. It's environmentally controlled. It's in your house. So it's much more cost-effective as well. I don't know if you guys have actually gone to the store and priced some of those little containers of microgreens. They can get $5 to $7 for just a teeny little amount. And you have to understand where they're coming from. The moment you harvest a microgreen, its shelf life is short. And that goes for all vegetables, as a matter of fact. So when you're a farmer and you harvest your zucchini, it has to go to a warehouse. It has to sit there until a truck picks it up. And then it has to go to the store. And then it sits in the back of the store until they are able to put it on the shelf. And then you buy it, you know, I don't know how many days later. And then it sits in your refrigerator until you go to eat it. All the while it's losing its nutritional value. So when you do this at home and you cut them and you put them on your salad, you're eating them within, 20 minutes of harvest. So it's just healthy for you. It's much more cost effective for you to grow them in your house versus buying them in the store. And I personally think it's a great motivator for kids because kids like to see things that they're grow actually, and then they're much more motivated to eat them. It requires very little space, making them great for apartment dwellers or people who just don't have time to tend a garden. Now, I don't know if you remember I think it was time before last I was here, I gave out those handouts where it showed a list of commonly found vegetables in this particular area that we should all be eating from A to P. These are vegetables we should try to incorporate in our diet on a weekly basis. Sometimes it's kind of hard to do, especially in the winter months when finding out fresh local produce is difficult. Also, you know, you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to get all of that into my diet? Well, a little bit of sprouts here and there for your cabbage, carrot, cauliflower, or your broccoli, or you know, all of your green leafy vegetables, and you've gotten that in. Now, I live in Buda. I live out in the country. This is a picture of my garden. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I wish this was a picture of my garden. I have a garden about a third of that size, but it's, no, I really wish that was my garden. And I love to garden, I really do. I love to get out there and I love to play in the dirt. But there are factors in gardening that I cannot control. The weather being one of them, insects like squash bugs, I hate those things. Or other insects that are trying to eat me when I'm gardening, like mosquitoes, I also hate those things. And season, it's not the season to grow a particular whatever. When you're growing your own microgreens, none of that applies. You can go out and get yourself something really fancy and swanky, like one of these, where you actually put, like this right here is one of my favorites, actually. I used to have one of this, I gave it to Linda and Sean. You fill this up with water, it plugs in the back. You fill this up with water and you put your trace of your sprouts in there. There's a little rod that comes up through here. Something pops up that looks like a fidget spinner, spins around, waters it, the water trickles down. You do nothing to it. 4 or 5 days later, you have your microgreens. Or you can get something like this, which is really swanky. It has a mist generator and a air filter, stuff like that.
How does the plant get the nutrition with the water?
Well, a lot of these seeds have what's called an enzyme inhibitor over a coating. When you go to sprouts, you know how you have to rinse it, let it soak for 24 hours and you're draining it off. That takes that enzyme inhibitor off of that. And then this plant in of itself has everything it needs to simply just sprout. So those are super easy to do. Now, they can be kind of expensive, so you can try what I do is grow them in a medium as like soil. Now, when Jeff and I first decided that we were going to incorporate sprouts into our diet, I wanted him to make me something like this. I was going to grow trays and trays of microgreens, and we were going to eat all we could, and we'd share everything with our neighbors, and we were going to stand around holding hands and eat kumbaya. And, I was going to usher in world peace. So then, I woke up and I thought, well, I'll settle for something like this. Wow. So I was going to go out and buy myself one of these bad boys until I realized you can buy a car for what it takes to buy one of these. So this is what we settled on. This is a picture of my kitchen, and these are my microgreens. Now I grow them in these little red plastic takeaways because I like to give them to my friends. And I give them in small amounts because most of my friends are not plant-based, and they go, what am I supposed to do with it? So I'm like, eat it. So that's basically what we do. But you can grow them in anything you could possibly imagine. I don't know this guy, but I'm impressed with the amount of sprouts that he's growing, so I took it off the internet and decided to show it to you. Anything that holds soil, you can use. Literally, tins, bowls, cups. You can, if you want to start out slow, you can, if you don't have a lot of room, expand a little more, make them part of your wall decor. Put them on your table, stick them in front of your coffee table as some sort of green plant that you reach out and munch. People look at you funny like you. So, or you can just grow them in takeaway trays. I have some here that I wanted to show you real quick. You don't have to go out and buy anything particular. These are red clovers that I grew in a leftover plastic container, or these little tins. So this is about 4 days old. It's still not ready to sprout, but it's just in one of it doesn't have holes in it. It's just in one of these little aluminum trays. This is actually my mug for tea, but I wanted to prove that you could grow a sprouts in anything. These are the plastic cups that you can grow, and then you can take away. This is arugula. A leftover Dr. McDougall's thing for soup. And just to prove my point, you can grow them in martini glass. So I'm telling you, anything that holds dirt, cheese, can hold, can grow. Yes.
Where do you get all these seeds?
I'll get to that in a second.
Okay, and I'm gonna, once you snip some off, do they grow back? Or
Certain ones will grow back. Broccoli sprouts will grow back. Sunflower seeds will not.
Okay.
So It all depends on the seed.
And then you change the dirt for another one? Or
Oh, yes, the dirt is completely full of the
Roots.
roots, so you would have to toss the dirt out. So you can make your own PVC rack at different stages of growth. You can see that the ones on the top are ready to go and the ones on the bottom are barely seeded. Think outside the box. This is one of those things that you put against the wall for organization. It's got that coconut mesh liner stuff that people use in gardening. Or if you don't want to do that, get yourself a shoe rack and grow them there. They will literally grow in anything. So basically what you're going to need is you're going to need a quality seed and you're going to need quality soil. I think it's very important to set yourself up for success and make sure that the seed that you're getting is good and the soil that you're using is organic. You can get soil from any nursery, just make sure it's organic soil. And this is basically the steps you take. You find a tray that you want. Again, it can be a martini glass if you want. Fill it up with soil. If your soil is dry, you want to moisten your soil before you put your seed in. But then you sprinkle your seed. Now first of all, I would never use a tray that big because you're not going to be able to eat that many sprouts that fast. So if you've got a tray about a third of that size, make sure that you're spreading the seeds much more densely. If you spread them rather loosely, you're going to get a spindly, gangly yield, which is fine. Eat the ones that do come up. But part of growing microgreens is just, that beautiful, at least for me, that beautiful green thing that you get to look at as it's growing, and 7 days later, just chomp on it. So make sure they're much more densely spread out. You're going to water the plant, and then you're going to cover it for the first 2 to 3 days. Twice a day, you're going to uncover it, and you're going to give it some more water and cover it back up. That's
Does it
about.
need to be by a window?
No, not yet.
What was the question? Does it need to be by a window?
Not quite yet. Eventually, yes. This is around day 3.
What do you cover it with?
I usually just cover it with like if I have one of these, I'll take an empty one and put it on top. So I've covered them with, like if I'm growing them in a little bowl, I've covered them with another plate. Make sure that there's some oxygen going in there, but it doesn't, you can just be creative. They just don't need to be exposed to the light straight away. About day 3, when they start to pop out like that, that's day 4, you want to uncover them. You want them to be exposed to light because they need to photosynthesize. Day 5 or 6, and then they're ready for harvest day 7, and voila, literally that's all there is to growing microgreens. So just to recap, you find a container, whatever container you want. It doesn't have to have holes in the bottom, especially if you're growing small amounts. You fill the container with soil, make sure the soil is damp. You sprinkle the seeds generously around, water, cover, and then you care for the plant, which means you have to water it in the morning, and then water it in the evening before you go to bed. And then about a week to 6 or 7 days, maybe 10 days later, depending on the seeds, some take a little longer, you have microgreens. So again, where do you get your seeds? These are the 2 companies that I would suggest that you look to buy seeds, but you can also buy them on Amazon. Just make sure that when you're going to get your seed, it says certified organic, non-GMO. And these 2 companies, which you can find online, pride themselves in having certified organic, non-GMO seeds. So there are the next 3 pictures I want to talk to you about. I get a lot from people who I'm trying to help learn how to do this. Oh my God, I'm growing penicillin. No, you're not. What you're doing is, what that's happening is it's growing little tendrils looking for moisture. So that is not penicillin, that's just part of the plant. That tells me you're not watering it enough. So if that starts to turn moldy or green or black, then yes, you are growing penicillin, and throw it out with a container. You don't want to cross-contaminate it, tossing the whole thing. But if it's just that, then all you need to do is pour more water in it, and they will actually retract. and they're totally fine to eat. I've eaten them like that, and rescued them from that stage, and they bounce back. They're very, very forgiving. Don't go drowning them in water either, but make sure that they're getting enough moisture. And I promise you, sprouts are very, very forgiving. They will survive, and so will you. So, thank you.